Welcome everybody. In this video, we're going to talk about Brimstone, and we're going to talk about the naming convention of the Himalayan Mountains. And we're going to do this because these two items are actually intrinsically linked. And the way that they're linked is that the brimstone of the Old Testament, the brimstone is actually the rock that formed the Himalayan mountain chain during the apocalypse. Now, how do we get there, and how do we know that these two are connected? First of all, what is the word brim? Right? When we hear the word brimstone, we think of it as a single word or even as a single concept. But brimstone is a distinction of where the stone comes from. And it comes from the brim. And so if you look at the surface of Venus, we've talked about that the surface of Venus, much like the surface of Earth and the original surface of Mars, these were layered in a clay-like substance over, several thousands, if not millions of years. And the layering of that clay became hardened by the electrical impact of the current during the apocalypse. And where the squatter man, where this plasma instability meets the surface of Venus, that is the rim, the upper rim, creating the brim, extracting the stone from the surface of Venus. That is the origin of the brimstone. Right there. Brimstone. Now, what's interesting is that we can use the Proto-Indo-European language to break down the meaning of the word Himalaya or Himalayan mountains. And what is really unique about the Proto-Indo-European language is that the syllables themselves, each individual syllable, him, has its own specific meaning. Him has a male connotation. And in the mythology, as I've laid out in several of my videos, anytime something has a male designation, we're talking about the electrical dynamic of that characteristic. If it has a female characteristic, it's talking about the magnetic characteristics of the dynamic. So we're talking about him, and him is talking about a charged particle coming from Venus. Now, in several of the mythologies, Venus is a female character. However, in several other mythologies and several other myths, such as the myth of Pallas, the god of warcraft, Pallas is a man. And that's because it talks about the electrical nature of the positive charge that Venus acquired, which is what caused it to fall into the Earth. Now, that positive charge discharged at the Earth, that is the him. Him is a designation of electricity, a positive flow of current to the Earth. A is just like A in a sentence. Him, and lay is just that. If you look at the Himalayan mountains, you will note that they have these layers and these striations throughout the entire thing. And when we look really closely at that, it's almost impossible to argue with the idea that the material had to have come from above, implanting below. And that implanting came through the positive charge, and that positive charge is identifiable in the Lichtenberg figures that form the Himalayan mountain chain. Himalaya. Him, a lay, a mountain. The Himalayan mountains come from the brimstone formed from the surface of Venus during the apocalypse. Nobody's analysis of the apocalypse touches Dr. Stinky McDougall's. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends all about it. Thank you and peace out.